Known as the Valley Isle, Maui is the second largest Hawaiian island, beloved for its world-famous beaches, the sacred Isle Valley, the magnificent farm-to-table cuisine, and the awe-inspiring sunrise and sunset from Haleakala. During the winter months, you might even be lucky enough to catch views of migrating humpback whales. Maui is the ideal place to be for beautiful scenery, tropical sands, and relaxation. So you might understand why someone would never want to leave. But when a young, vibrant California native never shows up for her return flight home, a search is launched, bringing forth eerie and mysterious clues that continues to baffle her family and the authorities. This is the mysterious disappearance and unthinkable story of 23-year-old Khiara Henry. To get an understanding of why her disappearance is so strange, we need to know who she is. Born on March 7, 1996 in San Diego, California, Khiara is described as someone who is very close to her family and takes a great deal of pride in her mixed African and Native American heritage. The freedom and lively vibe associated with California seemed like the perfect reflection of Khiara's personality. And although her family made the move from San Diego to Nevada sometime during her youth, she would return to California after high school, feeling drawn back to its sunny side pastures. Family wasn't the only thing she loved. She also has an appetite for adventure and independence, thriving in the outdoors, gaining experience in hiking and rock climbing. She eventually applied for college courses, but found college to be constraining on her free spirit. She ultimately decided that it wasn't the path for her. Instead, she wanted to live life doing the things that she enjoyed and pursuing her various passions. And her parents supported her all the way. So in mid-summer of 2019, she booked a solo trip to Hawaii to explore its beautiful sands and embark on her journey of sightseeing. On July the 11th, Khiara Henry would take a flight from San Diego to Honolulu, where she made contact back home to let her parents know that she had arrived safely. They would again hear from her a few days later and remark that she sounded excited, upbeat, and like she was thoroughly enjoying herself. From what they knew of her planned travels, she would start from the island of Oahu and eventually make her way to Waianapanapa Park. So after staying a few days on the island of Oahu, she would then book a flight to Maui on July the 17th to finish out her tour. On July the 18th, she checked into Aston Maui Hill Resort. According to her reservation dates, she'd planned to stay at the resort from the 18th until the 21st. From what authorities could gather through several witness accounts, the first half of Khiara's trip proceeded as planned. Other tourists and visitors to the island remember speaking with her on several occasions as she expressed a lot of excitement for continued travel plans to hike through the island's lush environment. Staff members who led a few of the tours that Khiara booked while there said that she was friendly, outgoing, and generally seemed to be thoroughly enjoying her stay in Maui. It's recorded that on the 20th of July, she went on a hike that included Twin Falls with the Hike Maui Tour Company. Up until this point, everything seemed to be going according to whatever plan Khiara had made for herself. On the morning of July 21st, Khiara checked out of the Aston Maui Hill Resort and requested that she use their computer to book her flight home, which she scheduled for July the 29th. After being allowed to use the computer in the lobby, she attempted to book a stay at Sugar Beach Resort from July the 22nd through the 29th, the day she planned to head back home. But it turned out there was a problem with her booking. The owner of the resort sent an email back to Khiara saying that her booking was unavailable. Now, it's unclear whether or not Khiara ever intercepted this email or not before leaving the hotel. In addition to her attempt at booking a stay at Sugar Beach, she also booked a rental car for a single night to be picked up from the airport that very same day and returned the following day. After catching a cab from the Aston Resort to the Hertz car rental agency, authorities confirmed that she did in fact make it to her car rental appointment, where she checked out a black 2018 Nissan Sentra. There is CCTV footage that captured Khiara in what appears to be a great mood. She's seen smiling and conversing with staff and doesn't appear to be distressed or under any amount of duress. She's captured on camera once again driving away from the Hertz parking lot at 2 p.m. This was the last time Khiara was ever seen or heard from again. I want to note here that shortly after arriving in Maui, it was evident to Khiara's family that she was likely experiencing some type of cell phone reception difficulties. The phone call she placed to her family from Oahu Island was the last they ever heard from Khiara, and noticed that the once blue messages sent from her iPhone had now turned green, and she was no longer responding to text messages or answering phone calls. Her family assumed she was having reception difficulties and would contact them the moment she was able to get a better signal. That call never came. It had been over 2 weeks since the family last heard from Khiara. Then, on July the 26th, Khiara's family would receive a phone call that would change their lives forever. Someone from the Hertz car rental agency contacted the family to inform them that they'd found Khiara's belongings inside of her now abandoned rental car. Employees sent to clean out the vehicle found her personal items and belongings scattered throughout the vehicle, which was spotted sitting idle next to the ranger station for several days in the gravel parking lot of Waianapanapa State Park. The vehicle had actually been spotted by park officials 3 days prior, on the 23rd, just 2 days after Khiara was seen leaving the rental agency. However, because Khiara's family had no idea that Khiara was now missing, there wasn't a report filed at the time they found the car sitting on the 23rd. Park officials didn't contact the Maui Police Department until the 25th, which led to Hertz employees eventually contacting Khiara's family. But by this time, Khiara had been missing for 5 days. Inside of her rental were various items spread about the vehicle that didn't necessarily show cause for concern at first. On the floorboard lay the clothing she was last seen wearing, a black t-shirt and black jeans. This positioning leads many to believe that at some point she changed clothes in the back seat of her rental. Across the back seat itself sat her duffel bag with other travel items inside. In the front of the car on the floor were her socks and shoes, and in the center console were her credit card and driver's license. Investigators looked into her credit card activity and found that no purchases or withdrawals were made after leaving the Hertz rental agency. However, what hasn't been found, that appears to be a bit of an enigma, are the rental keys to the 2018 Sentra, her cell phone, and the black backpack she's seen wearing the last time she was seen alive. Upon being notified of finding Khiara's belongings inside of her rental, her sister Thea immediately contacted the Maui Police Department to report her missing. Her family would also immediately take a flight to Maui to personally aid in the search for Khiara. While investigating, to cover every possible scenario, the authorities took note of the mileage gauge on her rental to determine whether or not the rental had been driven anywhere else. However, there was nothing suspicious to come from this, since the mileage on the vehicle lined up perfectly with the estimated 2-hour drive from the airport to the state park. And because of the park's remote locale, there's only one direct route to take from the airport, so they surmised that Khiara must have completed her drive to the park. Her movements after that, however, are a mystery. After locating her abandoned rental and the family issuing a missing persons report, several search teams would begin to scour the secluded island to search for Khiara. Members of the local community would also aid in the search to find any clues to her whereabouts. To get an idea of just how massive this park island is, it's approximately 122 acres, which is roughly the size of 120 football fields combined, or approximately 5.3 million square feet. Hawaii has one of the highest missing persons case rates in the country. In 2019 alone, Hawaii was reported to have over 100 open-ended missing persons cases. Many of those disappearances have been reported either in or around Hawaii's various parks. And a case that was eerily similar to Khiara's disappearance was the case of a 35-year-old male by the name of Craig Pitt. He was reported missing and his silver Toyota Corolla was found abandoned along Hannah Highway, which happened to be just miles away from where Khiara is assumed to have disappeared. However, in a tragic turn of events, his body was found the very next day at the base of a waterfall near Bamboo Forest. From all appearances, it seemed that he had gone hiking alone and had somehow fallen to his death. There are several other cases similar to that of Khiara where people have been reported missing after venturing off on a hike. Shortly after Khiara's disappearance, the authorities began constructing various scenarios and theories that would explain what could have possibly happened to Khiara after she arrived at the state park. One theory is that she went on a hike and veered from the hiking trail to get a better scenic look at the island's surrounding, and had an accident where she slipped and fell off of one of the many cliff sides and into the waters below, and was then subsequently carried out to sea by the raging waters. Another theory is that she met with foul play at the hands of someone lurking near or on the island. After all, her next reservation was from the 22nd to the 29th, so maybe she figured she would spend one night sleeping in her car after exploring the park before checking into her reservation the next day. But if this was the case, and she had suddenly been attacked while sleeping, the items left behind should support signs of a possible struggle. And though there were various articles of clothing thrown about, it doesn't necessarily support this theory. But if she had somehow had an encounter with evil, there are various places to hide a body in the vast space of the island. One note of particular interest is the fact that her socks and shoes were found on the floorboard of her rental, as if she'd taken them off to explore the sands or possibly even the waters. But perhaps, maybe she simply changed from her walking shoes into a sturdier hiking shoe or a boot. This would also explain why her cell phone, small backpack, and keys weren't found in the car with her other items. Her cell phone is a bit of a mystery as well. Her last known pings were from 2 towers. Once from a tower in Oahu the day she arrived, where she ended up calling her family the next day on the 13th. Her cell phone had no activity after this and didn't ping again until the 21st, when it connected briefly to the Wi-Fi at Aston Hill Resort. Curiously, she hadn't taken this moment to make a phone call back home to her family, even with her opportunity to take advantage of a stable connection through the hotel's Wi-Fi. This has caused her family to wonder if she had somehow damaged the phone to the point where it was no longer usable, but still, this wouldn't explain her passing up the opportunity to reach out from the hotel. What we now know is that it's been well over 3 years since the family of Khiara Henry has seen her alive. She departed from San Diego and made it to her destination at Waianapanapa Park before disappearing sometime in the afternoon or evening on July the 21st. Something happened to Khiara, and her family deserves answers and peace. She is 5 foot 3 inches tall, weighs approximately 120 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Khiara Lavinia Henry, please contact the Maui Police Department or the family tip line immediately. Khiara's case is still very much ongoing.